Welcome to a presentation on neoclassical physics. Neophysics has the most accurate theories of physics. We challenge you to disprove us. If not, we welcome you to join us and profit from the new science. In this presentation, we discuss about the errors in Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law. Maxwell first derived the wrong distribution formula using dubious arguments about the individual velocity component probability density functions. Boltzmann further reinforced Maxwell's derivation using more miscalculations. According to Boltzmann, in an ideal monoatomic gas system at equilibrium, the probability P of finding particles at a particular energy value E subscript I is proportional to small e to the power of minus EI by kT, where I is a non-negative integer 0, 1, 2, 3 up to m. I represents the energy level. Small e is equal to 2.71828 and so on is the Euler number and it is a constant. K is the Boltzmann constant and T is the temperature. Boltzmann mathematically derived this formula by considering the problem of allocating n particles to m plus 1 energy levels or bins, provided the total mass and the total energy of the system is conserved. A rigorous solution to the allocation problem is discussed in this presentation. The mass and energy conservation constraints, along with the assumption of exponential decay of the number of particles with increasing energy level, gives a very different probability from the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. In the rigorous solution, the probability drops off as P of EI proportional to 1 plus n by m to the power of minus 2 EI by 3 kT into m by n, where n is the number of particles and m plus 1 is the number of energy levels. So this formula, under the condition when m is much larger than n or n is much larger than m, becomes P of EI is proportional to e power minus 2 EI by 3 kT. So this 1 plus n by m to the power of m by n, this can be replaced by e when m is much larger than n or n is much larger than m. So this approximation, this expression even after approximation is still very different from the Maxwell-Boltzmann formula, where P of EI is proportional to e to the power of minus EI by kT. This 2 by 3 factor is not there in the Maxwell-Boltzmann formula. Simple calculational testing of the allocation problem shows that Maxwell-Boltzmann result is wrong and our results are correct. Maxwell-Boltzmann method does not capture the most probable configuration of the atoms. Suppose there are n non-interacting gas particles and the total kinetic energy of the system be E total. Suppose there is no other energy other than the kinetic energy. There are no potential energies between the particles. That's why it's called non-interacting. Suppose we split the entire energy E subscript total, E total, into m plus 1 levels with step size or resolution of epsilon joules. So the available energy levels are labeled as 0 epsilon, 1 epsilon, 2 epsilon, up to m epsilon levels. Particles with energy EI, where EI is greater than or equal to I minus half epsilon and less than I plus half epsilon, are classified into the ith energy level or I epsilon energy level. So for example, if we want to classify a particle as belonging to 2 epsilon level, then it has to have an energy greater than or equal to 1.5 epsilon and less than 2.5 epsilon. At the extremes, the interval reduces. For example, at E0 level, the energy is just between greater than or equal to 0 epsilon and less than 0.5 epsilon. And similarly, at the other extreme, at m epsilon level, the energy should be less than m epsilon and greater than or equal to 0.5 epsilon, m minus 0.5 epsilon. So note that the m epsilon is equal to E total, that is the energy at the max possible energy level of a particle is equal to the total energy of the system. At the extreme case, only one particle can concentrate the total energy of the entire system in itself, like shown here. So there is only one particle at the m epsilon level. This is the entire energy of the system, and rest of the particles have 0 epsilon. So the total is m epsilon, and the particle distribution is like this. We assume all possible configurations are equally likely. Let n naught, n1, n2, n3 up to n subscript m represent the number of particles at each energy level. That is n0 particles at 0 epsilon level, n1 particles at 1 epsilon level, n2 particles at 2 epsilon level, and so on up to nm particles at m epsilon energy level, as shown. So this is just the tabular form of this distribution. Suppose each particle here has the same mass. They are identical particles. So then the conservation of mass implies conservation of the number of particles in the system. Hence we get that n0 plus n1 plus n2 up to addition up to n subscript m is equal to big N. Here big N is equal to the total number of particles, and it is a constant. Conservation of energy implies that 0 into n0 plus 1 into n1 plus 2 into n2 plus 3 into n3 up to m into n subscript m whole into epsilon is equal to E total. So in this sigma notation, we can write it as this: I epsilon into ni, sigma I equals 0 to m is equal to E total, and which is equal to m epsilon. That is, multiply each energy level value I epsilon with the number of particles at that energy level ni in the whole range of values I equals 0 to m to get the total energy at that particular energy level I, as I epsilon into ni. So this is I epsilon into ni is the total energy at level I, because there are ni particles. Taking the common factor epsilon out, we can simplify the energy equation as just this: n1 plus 2n2 plus 3n3 up to m into n subscript m is equal to m. Note here that m plus 1 is equal to the total number of energy levels. So this is the energy conservation equation. In the spirit of Boltzmann, and for simplicity, let us assume that on an average there will be an exponential drop in the number of particles occupying the increasing energy levels. That is, let n0 equals x, n1 is x by y, n2 is x by y square. Similarly, some ith level ni is equal to x by yi, and at the last level n subscript m is equal to x divided by y power m. Here x is the number of particles at the 0 energy or 0 epsilon level, and 1 by y is the constant ratio in these geometric series terms here. Y determines the exponential decay rate. In general, we can assume that y is any real number greater than 1. Using this in the particle number conservation equation, that is this equation, n0 plus n1 plus n2 up to mth level is equal to n. So using these geometric series terms in this equation, we get this equation, x into 1 plus 1 by y plus 1 by y square up to 1 by y power m is equal to big N. So this equation is nothing but a geometric series summation such that we get this. This is up to n terms. We get the summation of this is x into 1 minus 1 by y power m plus 1 divided by 1 minus 1 by y is equal to n. If we assume y is greater than 1 and m is much larger than 1, then we can use the approximation that 1 divided by y power m plus 1 is nearly equal to 0. So using this approximation in the summation, we get x into 1 divided by 1 minus 1 by y, or xy by y minus 1 is nearly equal to n. So this is what we get from the particle number conservation equation. Now using the geometric series terms, that is x by y square, so on, in the simplified energy conservation equation, that is this equation, n1 plus 2n2 plus 3n3 plus up to m into n subscript m is equal to m. This is the energy conservation equation. So using the geometric series terms in the energy conservation equation, we get this equation, x by y into 1 plus 2 by y square 3 by 2 by y plus 3 by y square up to some term, ith term, I by y power I minus 1 and up to m plus 1th level, which gives m by y power m minus 1. So the summation of all this is just m. The summation inside the square brackets on the left hand side of this equation, of the energy equation, can be written as a collection of multiple geometric series like this. So 2 by y can be split as 1 by y plus 1 by y, and 3 by y square gets split as into 1 by y square, 1 by y square, 1 by y square, which belongs to 3 different geometric series. So these are a collection of geometric series. This equation, this expression inside the square bracket has been converted into this equation. So each of these lines is a geometric series whose sum can be found out easily. So sum of each of these lines of this equation numbered from k equals 1 to m. So each of these lines are numbered k equals 1, k equals 2, k equals 3 up to k equals m. So we get the summation as this. Each individual geometric series can be summed up as the expression here, 1 by y power k minus 1 into 1 minus this term here divided by 1 minus 1 by y, which if we take this 1 by y power k minus 1 into the inside the bracket here, we just get sigma k equals 1 to m, 1 by y power k minus 1 minus 1 by y power m, where m is a constant, divided by 1 minus 1 by y. Here k is a variable and m is a constant. So the right hand side of the previous equation, that is this term, can be converted into a simpler form as shown here. That is, this term is nothing but 1 plus 1 by y plus 1 by y square up to 1 by y power m minus 1 divided by, there are m terms of this 1 by y power m, so we have to negate this term, m by y power m. So this is the term on the numerator and 1 minus 1 by y is the denominator. And using the approximation that m is much larger than 1, this gets reduced, this summation gets reduced to simply this 1 divided by 1 minus 1 by y whole square. So this is the simplest. So the summation of the terms inside the square bracket on the left hand side of the simplified energy equation is now this 1 by 1 minus 1 by y square, or y square by y minus 1 whole square. So this is the terms in the square bracket and this is the summation. It is nearly equal to this. Now using this equation in the energy equation, that is x by y into 1 plus 2 by y plus 3 by y square, so on, using this here, we get x by y into y square by y minus 1 square, or this xy by y minus 1 whole square is nearly equal to m. So this is from the energy conservation equation. From the particle number conservation equation, we already saw that xy by y minus 1 is nearly equal to n. So now using these two equations, from the particle conservation and the energy conservation, these two equations, we can work out the expressions for x and y. So what we get is y, which is the exponential, which determines the exponential decay rate, is nothing but y equals 1 plus n by m, where n is the number of particles and m plus 1 is the number of energy levels. And x is the first term, or the number of particles in the zeroth energy level. So x is nearly equal to n divided by 1 plus m by n. So we get y and x from these two equations. So now using the x and y expressions, we can find the number of particles at each energy level. So for some random energy level I, Ni is the number of particles at that level, and n of Ni is equal to x divided by y power I. So x we know is this, and y we know is this. So using these two, Ni becomes n square m power I divided by n plus m I plus 1, power of I plus 1. So this works in the entire range I equals 0 to m, all these integers 0, 1, 2, 3 up to m. Let us now consider a special case where m equals n. That is the number of energy levels minus 1 is equal to the number of particles, m equals n. So if we use this m equals n in the above equation, then the geometric series terms seen earlier just becomes n naught equals x, n1 is x by y, n2 is x by y square, and so on. Because y becomes 2. If n equals m, y becomes 2. And this series gets converted into a power of 1 by 2, a series of 1 by 2 powers. So that is n equals n by 2, n1 is n by 2 square, n2 is n by 2 cube, and up to n plus 1th term. This is n subscript big N is equal to n by 2 power n plus 1. Here n equals m in this case. So we can note that the average kinetic energy per particle is equal to 3 by 2 kT, which can be written as E total by n, where E total is the total energy divided by number of particles. So this is the average energy per kinetic energy per particle. Since E total equals m epsilon, we can also write this as m epsilon by n. So in case m equals n, then we just get epsilon is 3 by 2 kT. That is the step size or the resolution in the energy measurement. Epsilon is equal to 3 by 2 kT, or the average energy per particle. So let us now consider a particular case where m equals n equals 5. That is, there are total 5 particles with E total equals 5 epsilon joules, and that they are split into m plus 1 or 6 energy levels. So m equals 5, therefore the number of energy levels is m plus 1 is 6. And the 6 energy levels are 0 epsilon, 1 epsilon, 2 epsilon, 3 epsilon, 4 epsilon, and 5 epsilon. 5 epsilon is the total energy of the system. So in the configuration or combination, a single particle, so in some configuration or combination, a single particle can possess the entire energy E total of the system. That is the total 5 epsilon joules, while the 4 remaining particles have 0 epsilon joules. That is, the 5 particles are split into a 2 tuple 4, 1, with 4 particles at 0 epsilon level and 1 particle at 5 epsilon level. We can also write that as 4 is to 0 epsilon and 1 is to 5 epsilon, which just represents 4 number of particles at 0 energy level and 1 particle at 5 epsilon energy level. It is also possible that the 5 particles are split into a 2 tuples such that 3, 2. We get 3, 2. With 3 particles at 0 epsilon level and 2 particles at 2.5 epsilon level. But since 2.5 is not an integer, we consider this combination as null result or not valid, and we shall not consider such combinations. We shall consider only combinations where the energy value is an integral multiple of epsilon. So under these conditions, the number of one tuple possible with the 5 particles are, so all the 5 identical but different particles can be in the same energy level 1 epsilon, so that they all add up to E total equals 5 epsilon as shown here. So these are the energy levels 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the 5 particles are at the 1 epsilon energy level. 1 epsilon is the average energy of the system, average energy per particle, and all the particles have equal energy in this configuration. This state is highly ordered. If a large portion of the particles flock together in the same energy bin, then that configuration can be considered as a highly ordered configuration. So the number of 2 tuples possible with the 5 particles are, it's possible to split 5 particles into 4, 1, where 4 particles go into 0 epsilon level and 1 particle goes to 5 epsilon level. So this combination can be permuted in 5 factorial divided by 4 factorial into 1 factorial ways, or 5 different ways. So in terms of this tabular representation, we can write this as 0 epsilon as 4 particles and 5 epsilon as 1 particle, so that the total energy of this system is 5 epsilon. We cannot 3, 2, we cannot split this 5 particles into a 2 tuple like 3, 2. This is a null result. This cannot be split in because 3, 2 cannot be split in a combination of 3 particles at 1 energy level and 2 particles at a different energy level, such that they add up to E total equals 5 epsilon. So the number of 3 tuples possible with 5 particles are, so we can split the 5 particles into a 3 tuple like 3, 1, 1, and 3, 1, 1 can be permuted in 5 factorial divided by 3 factorial into 1 factorial into 1 factorial, or 20 different ways. So this is a tabular representation. 3 is to 0 epsilon, 1 is to 1 epsilon, 1 is to 4 epsilon. That is, there are 3 particles at the 0 energy level, there is 1 particle at the 1 epsilon energy level, and there is 1 particle at the 4 epsilon energy level. So add up, we get total 5 epsilon joules. So another combination is 3 is to 0 epsilon, 1 is to 2 epsilon, and 1 is to 3 epsilon. That is tabular. In the tabular representation, we see there are 3 particles in the 0 epsilon level, there is 1 particle at the 2 epsilon level, and there is 1 particle at the 3 epsilon level. So add up, we get 5 epsilon total energy. And yet another possibility with 3, 1, 1 is this. We put 1 particle at the 0 epsilon level, we put 3 particles at the 1 epsilon level, and 1 particle at the 2 epsilon level. So add up, we get 5 epsilon. So adding up, so these are the possibilities with 3, 1, 1, the 3 tuple. So there is a second 3 tuple combo possible as 2, 2, 1. So each of these combinations 2, 2, 1 can be permuted in 5 factorial divided by 2 factorial into 2 factorial into 1 factorial, or 30 different ways. So one such combination is 2 is to 0 epsilon, 2 is to 1 epsilon, and 1 is to 3 epsilon. That is, we put 2 particles at the 0 epsilon level, 2 particles at the 1 epsilon level, and 1 particle at the 3 epsilon level. So this adds up to 5 epsilon. And yet another combination possible with 2 to 1 is 2 particles at the 0 epsilon level, one particle at 1 epsilon level and 2 particles at 2 epsilon level. So add up, we get 5 epsilon total. So in this sense, we listed out 7 different valid combinations. There are only 7 valid combinations in all, with 5 particles and 6 energy levels. So all these different permutations adds up to 126 different permutations. That is, one tuple there was only one possibility, 2 tuples there were 5 possibilities, with 3 tuples there is one set of combination 311 which were possible in 20 different ways, and there were 3 combinations like that. And here we see the 2 combinations of 2 to 1 which are possible in 30 different ways. So this is one combination which is possible in 30 ways, and this is another which is possible in 30 ways. So adding up all the possible permutations, we get 126. So putting them all together, we get this table. In this table, basically, at each energy level I epsilon, we have multiplied the number of particles at that level, that is Ni, with the number of possible permutations shown here on the last column. So for example, if at a particular this 2 to 1 combo, there are 2 particles at the 0 energy level, we multiply that by 30, because 30 is the number of permutations. And then there were 2 particles at the 1 epsilon level, we multiply that. There were 0 particles at 2 epsilon level, we multiply by 30. There was only 1 particle at the 3 epsilon level, 1 into 30, and so on. So we multiply each of these Ni's at any energy level with the number of permutations possible with that combination, and we sum up all these permutation products at each energy level. So for example, we add up this whole column below 0 epsilon, we get 280. We add up all these terms below 1 epsilon level, we get 175, and so on. So we get 280, 175, 100, 50, 20, and 5 for each column, and the total number of permutations is 126, which is the addition of all this. So now we take the averages, like 280 by 126. There were the sum of the permutation products is 280 at 0 epsilon level, 280 by 186 is 2.222. Similarly, at 1 epsilon level, if we take the average, it is 1.389, and then at 2 epsilon level it is 0.7937, and so on, as shown in this table. So it is just that these values here, 280, 175, 100, they have been divided by 126, and we have taken the average. So that gives this 2.22 and 1.389, 0.7939, and so on. So this table of averages means that of the total 5 particles, 2.222 occur at the 0 epsilon level on the average, which is 2.222 into 100 by 5 is 44.44% at 0 epsilon level. And of the 5 particles, 1.389 occur at the 1 epsilon level on the average, which is 1.389 into 100 by 5 is 27.78%, and so on. We can calculate the percentage occupancy of each of these levels. The ideal percentages with m equals 1 is the distribution goes like n by 2 power I plus 1. This is the ideal distribution if m equals n. So that would be 50% at the 0 epsilon level, 25% at the 1 epsilon level, 12.5% at the 2 epsilon level, and so on. So as shown here, 50, 25, 12.5, 6.25, and so on. So this is the ideal distribution, and this is the distribution we get when m equals n equals 5. So, and if we take the RMS error at n equals m equals 5, we get 2.98% up to 5 epsilon energy level. So the difference between these two, the RMS error between these two rows is 2.98%. Similarly, if m equals n equals 10 and we find the RMS error up to 5 epsilon level, we get 1.37%, and when m equals n equals 20, the RMS error up to 5 epsilon energy level is 0.66%, and when m equals n equals 40, the RMS error drops to 0.324%. So we have shown the m equals n equals percentages here in this table. So when m equals n equals 40 at the first level, we get 49.37% occupancy by numerically working out the example at the particular value where m equals n equals 40, and at 1 epsilon level we get 25.32, or 2 epsilon we get 12.82, and so on. So ideally it should have been 50, 25, 12.5, 6.25, and so on. And the RMS error between these two is 0.324% at m equals n equals 40. In general, we can numerically verify that for any n and m, when m tends to infinity and n tends to infinity, we get a power series of 1 by y, where y or 1 by 1 plus n by m, because y is 1 plus n by m. So in this case, n equals m, we get a power series of 2, because n equals m, this becomes 1 by 2. So that's why we get n divided by 2 power I plus 1, and all this 50, 25, 12.5 is part of that power series of 1 by 2. That is the probability distribution we get when n equals m. So this figure shows the different error percentages of at different energy levels when n equals m equals 5, n equals m equals 10, 20, and 40, and so on. See, this blue line shows the error percentages at different energy levels when n equals m equals 40, and this is pretty low. This error percentages are pretty low. So we know from the number of particles, we know that the number of particles at each energy level I is n subscript I is given by x divided by y power I, where I equals 0 to m. And we also know that x is equal to n divided by 1 plus m by n, and y is 1 plus n by m. So the probability of finding a particle at the ith level is p of I is equal to just the number of particles divided by the total number of particles, ni divided by n. And it turns out to be, using x, ni is x by yi, using this p of I turns out to be 1 plus m by n power minus 1 and 1 plus n by m power minus I. This is y power 1 by y power I, this term. So this is the probability we find working out from our method. This is the probability of finding a particle at an energy level I, p of I. Note that the summation of p of I gives 1. That is sigma I equals 1 to m p of I equals 1 when m is much larger than 1. Under different conditions, under different n and m conditions, this probability p of I becomes this. If m equals n, we get the power series of 1 by 2 or 2 power minus I plus 1 at each level. For example, at I equals 0 or 0th energy level, we get 1 by 2, which is 50% occupancy. And we can write this same term as 2 power minus mv square by 3 kt minus 1. If m is much less than n, then p of I can be approximated as e power minus I n by m, or which can be written as e power minus mv square by 3 kt. And if m is much larger than n, p of I becomes n by m into e power minus I n by m, or n by m into e power minus mv square by 3 kt. So basically we get this mv square by 3 kt terms by using this these two terms. That is 3 by 2 kt is the average energy per particle is m epsilon by n, and at any energy level I epsilon is the energy. I epsilon will be equal to the velocity at that level, like this, half m vi square. So this, using this and this equation, we get I equals mv square by 3 kt into m by n. So we'll just replace, we can just convert this terms from n by n terms to mv square by 3 kt, and we can convert this to this or this to this using these equations. So these are the same. But according to Boltzmann, p of I is pretty different. P of I is given as e power minus I epsilon by kt divided by sigma of all e power minus I epsilon by kt from I equals 0 to m. So this, the below whatever is just a normalizing factor, and the probability actually is proportional to e power minus I epsilon by kt. If m is much larger than 1, then we can write this out as p of I is nearly equal to 1 minus 1 by e power epsilon by kt into e power minus I epsilon by kt. So rewriting the Boltzmann probability, we get this. We already saw this. We can also write it as 1 minus e power minus epsilon by kt into e power minus mv square by 2 kt. Or we can also write it as 1 minus e power minus 3n by 2m into e power minus I into 3n by 2m. So these two are equivalent forms. It's just that this is written in terms of n and m. This is written in terms of mv square and kt. So this can be converted from this form to this form using these equations. So 3 by 2 kt is m epsilon by n, I epsilon is half m vi square, and this to give I equals mv square by 3 kt into m by n. So we can use this in this to convert from one form to another. Under different n m conditions, this pi given by Boltzmann probability becomes, if m is equal to n, then p of I, using this expression, p of I will just become 1 minus e power minus 3 by 2 into e power minus I 3 by 2. If m is much smaller than n, then p of I just becomes e power minus mv square by 2 kt. And if m is much larger than n, then p of I becomes 3n by 2m into e power minus mv square by 2 kt. So it is just this Boltzmann probability equation under different n-m conditions. And this is the equation that we derived, the probability equation that we derived using our method under different n-m conditions that we discussed earlier. Therefore, the form of the Boltzmann expressions when m is much less than n or when m is much larger than n is close to the same m is much less than n or m is much larger than n condition expressions from our equation. But the expressions are not exactly the same. So these look similar, but they are not the same. However, in the Maxwell-Boltzmann expression, we get this factor e power minus mv square by 2 kt. But in our method, we get the factor minus e power minus mv square by 3 kt. Apart from other differences, this is one major difference. And also, we can note that the Boltzmann expression is very different from our method when the expressions when m is nearly equal to n. So the difference between Boltzmann probability expression and the rigorous derivation expressions when m equals n is shown in the table below. So these are the energy levels. This 50, 25, 12.5 is the ideal probability distribution that we get when m equals n. And this 77.69, 17.33, etc. is the probability distribution that Maxwell's Boltzmann distribution formula gives when m equals n. So basically this line, this Maxwell-Boltzmann expression is given by n into 1 minus e power minus 3 by 2 into e power minus I 3 by 2 that we saw earlier. So the RMS error between these two ideal probability distribution, this is the Maxwell one and this is our method, is up to 5 epsilon energy level is 13.69%. So this is n by 2 power I plus 1 distribution, and this is n into 1 minus e power I, minus 3 by 2 into e power minus I 3 by 2. This is the Maxwell-Boltzmann and this is our distribution. So the RMS difference between these two up to 5 epsilon energy level is 13.69%. And this is a huge irrevocable error in the Boltzmann distribution law. Let us now look at the probability density functions, PDF, with respect to speed. Let V subscript I be the speed associated with the energy level I epsilon. That is, we already saw I epsilon is half m vi square. So we can write Vi is equal to square root of 2i epsilon by m. That is, V is dependent on square root of I. If I is any energy level, then Vi will be proportional to square root of I. And delta Vi, which is the difference between two successive velocities of the energy levels, or two successive velocities, is delta Vi is V subscript I plus 1 minus V of I. So which turns out to be square root of 2 epsilon by m whole into square root of I plus 1 minus square root of I. So this is delta Vi. Delta Vi is the difference in velocities between two successive energy levels. So the PDF with respect to speed, which is denoted by f of I, can be found using these two equations. So this is the equation we derived for probability distribution, and this is the equation we get for delta Vi. Therefore, f of I, or the PDF with respect to speed, can be written as f of I is equal to p of I divided by delta Vi, which gives this expression 1 plus m by n minus 1 plus n by m minus I. This is the probability part, and square root of m by 2 epsilon divided by square root of I plus 1 minus square root of I. So this comes from the delta Vi part. Here I equals 0, 1, 2, 3 up to m. This equation, this f of I equation, does not look anything close to Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution formula. But if we can use the approximation that when I is greater than 1, then we get 1 by square root of I plus 1 minus I is nearly equal to 2 square root of I. That is when I is larger than 1. So this is the approximation we can use. And using the condition m is much less than n, or m is much larger than n, we get f of I, or f of Vi, which is equivalent to f of I, is proportional to Vi into e power minus mv square by 3 kt. So this we purely get from this f of I by approximation. So according to our method, f of Vi, which is equivalent to f of I, is proportional to Vi into e power minus mvi square by 3 kt. But according to the Maxwell-Boltzmann law, we get f of Vi, this is the probability density function of the speed, is proportional to Vi square into e power minus mvi square by 2 kt. So in the approximation based on our rigorous solution, the speed factor is just V subscript I. However, in the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law, we get a speed factor of V subscript I square. This comes out because of the wrong application of differential calculus and wrong usage of the concept of probability density function by Maxwell-Boltzmann. We can also verify the PDF results in these equations by extending the calculations that we saw for n equals m case. So we know I epsilon is half mvi square. So we at I equals 1, we can just say epsilon is half m v1 square. This is the velocity at level first 1 epsilon energy level. Then the velocities corresponding to the different energy levels, 0 epsilon, 1 epsilon, 2 epsilon up to m epsilon, can be written as v1 square root of 0, v1 square root of 1, v1 into square root of 2 up to v1 into square root of m. So using this, ideally we get the PDF as shown in this table. So these are the energy levels. These are the velocities corresponding to these energy levels. This is the ideal probability distribution that we got, and this is the probability density at each of these energy levels that we got by using this equation, P of I divided by delta Vi. So this is this last line is just this. So this 0.5 is because this is 50%, 0.5 divided by v1 square root of 1 minus v1 square root of 0 gives this, and so on. So this is the probability densities in the last line. So if we multiply these probability densities with delta Vi, that is the summation of f of Vi, this last line is just f of Vi. If we multiply it with delta Vi, f of Vi into delta Vi, and sum it up to 5 epsilon energy level, we get 0.9844. This sum will tend to 1 as m tends to infinity, or when the number of energy levels m plus 1 is very high. Since we have used this definition, f of vi dot delta vi is equal to p of I, since we have used this definition to get the PDF, we can be sure that the summation of it will be 1, because summation of f of vi delta vi from I equals 0 to m will be same as summation of p of I from I equal to m, and we know summation of p of I is 1. So these two will give 1. But from the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law, when m equals n, and using this equation, half m v1 square is epsilon equals 3 by 2 kT. This is a statement about the average kinetic energy per particle. So using this and the expression for I that we saw earlier for conversion from mv square by kT form to m by n form, we get this. So this is the actual expression derived by Maxwell-Boltzmann. So f of vi, this is the probability density at any velocity v corresponding to energy level I. F of vi is this distribution given by Maxwell-Boltzmann, which under the condition that m equals n gets converted to this simpler form, square root of 6 by pi 3i by v1 into e power minus 3i by 2. So this v1 is here related to the average kinetic energy per particle. So this is the probability density that we get when m equals n from the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law. So, okay, this is the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law PDF, probability density function, using delta Vi from this equation. So the delta Vi is defined as V of I plus 1 minus Vi, and we know delta Vi is equal to this. So using this delta Vi along with this f of Vi, we get f of Vi into delta Vi is equal to square root of 6 by pi 3i e power minus 3i by 2 into square root of I plus 1 minus I, minus square root of I. So this is this gives the probability at each energy level if we use the probability density function from Maxwell-Boltzmann law. We can evaluate this at each of the energy level I equals 0, 1, 2, 3 up to m or up to infinity. So at I equals 0, we get f of Vi delta Vi as some 0.38318 and so on, and we have just listed some numbers up to I equals 10. The summation of these f of Vi delta Vi up to phi epsilon energy level here, this sum gives 0.5636. And the sum tends to 0.5644 as m tends to infinity. Even when m is very, very large, the sum only becomes 0.5644. Therefore, when m equals n, as expected, the Maxwell-Boltzmann expression does not add up to 1. Ideally, it should add up to 1 if it is correct. Hence, Maxwell-Boltzmann formula gives wrong results because sigma of f of Vi delta Vi does not add up to 1. Even though in some approximate way, the Maxwell-Boltzmann formula with the conditions that m is much less than n and m is much greater than n may look similar to the same conditions in our equations, that is these two equations. So this is what Maxwell-Boltzmann gives when m is much less than n, which just gives p of I is equal to e power minus mv square by 2 kt, but in our expression, if m is much less than n, we get e power minus mv square by 3 kt instead of 2 kt. And similarly, when m is much larger than n, we get Maxwell-Boltzmann gives this expression and we get this expression, and note they're slightly different from each other. This has got one extra 3 by 2 term here, and here in the bottom it's 3 kt and here it is 2 kt. So we noted the differences earlier. So the Maxwell-Boltzmann result, even though they look close, they are very distinct. Especially the actual unapproximated distribution is quite different from the unapproximated equation we get from the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. So in this context, we can note that the Maxwell-Boltzmann method does not even find the configuration with the maximum number of permutations. For example, consider n equals 10 power 4, that is there are 10,000 number of particles, and m equals 10 square, that is the number of energy levels is 10 square plus 1 or 101. There are 101 energy levels, and we are splitting 10,000 particles into those energy levels. So n by m in this case is 100. Then from our equation here, which is shown here, from our equation we get the number of particles at each level as here shown here, and if we apply this formula we get 9901 particles in 0 epsilon level, 98 particles in 1 epsilon energy level, and only 1 particle in 2 epsilon energy level, and rest of them are zeros. So the total number of permutations possible according to our formula is 10,000 factorial divided by 9901 factorial into 98 factorial into 1 factorial. So this is the total number of permutations for the most probable configuration according to our formula. But from the Maxwell-Boltzmann formula, if we apply this formula, Maxwell-Boltzmann formula, we get n of I is 10 power 4 into 1 minus e power minus 150, which is almost 0, into e power minus 150 by I. So at I equals 0, almost all the 10,000 particles are at the 0 epsilon level. So basically what we get is all the 10,000 particles are almost at the 0 epsilon level, and rest of the levels have no particles or 0 particles. So the total number of permutations we get from the Maxwell-Boltzmann method is 10,000 factorial divided by 10,000 factorial is equal to 1. Therefore, we can note that the formula based on the rigorous analysis has far more permutations than predicted by Maxwell-Boltzmann method when n is much larger than m. Now consider another example where n is 10 power 3 and m is 10 power 5. That is, now n by m is 0.01. n is much less than m. So then from our method we get the number of permutations close to the predicted configuration as 1000 factorial divided by a series of 10 factorials and a series of 9 factorials and 8 factorials and so on. So using this formula, using our method, we get n of I is 10 power 3 into 100 power I divided by 101 power I plus 1. And from Maxwell-Boltzmann method, we get n of I is 10 power 3 into 1 minus e power minus 0.015 into e power minus 0.015 I. So using this, if I use the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution formula, then we get the total number of permutations as 1000 factorial divided by 2 15 factorials and a series of 14 factorials and a series of 13 factorials and so on. So evidently from this comparing these two, we can say that the formula based on the rigorous analysis has far more permutations than the Maxwell-Boltzmann method. This figure shows the distribution as predicted by Maxwell-Boltzmann formula in black line when we allocate n equals 10 power 3 particles to m plus 1 or 10 power 5 plus 1 energy levels. We have shown only up to 200 energy levels because after this then each energy level will have either 0 or 1 particle at most, and so it doesn't contribute to the calculation of permutations. The red line shows the distribution according to the correct distribution formula based on rigorous analysis. If we round off the number of particles to the closest integer, we get the permutations we mentioned above here. That is, if we round off the predicted distribution of the number of particles to the closest integer, we get this figure. So for the Maxwell-Boltzmann formula, we get 1000 factorial divided by 215 factorials, and then there is a bunch of 514 factorials, and then there is a bunch of 513 factorials and so on. So by plotting this, we can by using this list we can find out how many numbers of 14s and 13s and they occur. And from the neophysics formula, we get 1000 factorial divided by a bunch of 5 10 factorials and 11 9 factorials and so on. So obviously this form is the neo-physics formula has much more number of permutations than the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution prediction. So therefore we should abandon Maxwell-Boltzmann method and adopt the method shown in this presentation. So we end it here. Thank you. If you want to understand the concepts of physics in the clearest way, regardless of the concerns about scoring high marks in exams, please visit neophysics.com. Thank you again.